I gotta say, I am starting to love lawsuits because when people are under oath, they tend not to lie. And they tend to cut the marketing BS away from what they're saying. And it reminds me when Rachel Maddow was being sued for saying that a company was literally sponsored by the Russians. So she got sued for that. And it turns out that she said that when she meant literally, she didn't mean it literally, you know? It's like literally Hitler. It's not literally. So she actually used that excuse. And she also said that she's not a journalist. So people shouldn't actually consider her as such. More like an entertainer, I suppose. And she won, by the way. But even though she won, it was a very interesting way of hearing the defense elaborate on what things really are. And now we get another interesting take on what fact checkers are, according to Facebook. You see, Facebook is hiring independent fact checkers. Because you see, people can be trusted with buying a house and doing the investigation required in order to figure out if the house is actually good. And that is called a savvy customer. But on social media, you can't investigate shit. You need a fact checker to investigate for you. In fact, the person that does investigation might be called a conspiracy theorist. Another very interesting word. By the way, when I grew up, I didn't believe a single conspiracy theory. It was like the Bigfoot, the aliens. Nowadays, turns out that Fox News is talking about the aliens, so that might be true. But if you think that maybe corporations are trying to make money, or maybe if you think that politicians might be corrupt and they might not be honest with people, that's a conspiracy nowadays. So it's a lot more easy to believe today's conspiracy theories than it was 20 years ago. But, you know, you get what you get. But luckily we have the fact checkers that are supposed to tell us what is true and what isn't. Kind of funny, you know, like fact checkers actually did exist before social media, and journalists would hire them, but they were fact checking things which were objective. Like, for example, if a journalist would say that an hour has 59 minutes, a fact checker would come up and say, hey, hold on, look, you made a mistake. If a journalist would say the distance between point A and point B is 50 kilometers, a fact checker would say it's like, no, it's actually 57. And that's what they would do. But nowadays, I have seen fact checkers fact check opinions. Very interesting. Like, I didn't know opinions can be facts. Just so you know how ridiculous fact checking is getting. I mean, even left-leaning people were looking at this in bewilderment. There was the allegation that a convicted terrorist was sitting on the board of a BLM funding. So Snopes looked at it and said, well, it's a mixture. It's not really true, but it's not really false either. So I didn't even hear about, like, what on earth are they talking about, right? Because people were just giving me this, like, look how ridiculous it is, right? And when you look at it, it's like, well, apparently, there is this person, Susan Rosenberg, who was convicted by a jury, like we, the jury, find the defendant guilty and was sentenced to prison. And then when she got out, she got on the board. So, okay, well, why isn't it true? Why is it a mixture? Well, apparently, if you scroll down, you find out that it's because of the absence of a single universally agreed definition of terrorism. So they're relying on the fact that people don't read the article. And they're relying on the fact that people just look at the fact check. They do this all the time. I have seen them fact check opinions. I have seen them fact check satirical websites. It's a joke. And sometimes they were even wrong on the fact check. And they still get the fact check. So why is that a thing? Why are they still in business? Why is no one getting fired if they're not doing a good job? I mean, if a doctor botches a surgery, he's going to get punished. If he botches many surgeries, he might end up losing his medical license. Why aren't the fact checkers losing their fact checking licenses? Well, you have an explanation here. Because the name fact checker is just a marketing PR of what they're actually supposed to do. And what they're actually supposed to do, they do it quite well. Apparently, and this is from the lawsuit, beyond this threshold, Section 230 problem, the complaint also fails to state a claim for defamation. For one, Stossel fails to plead facts establishing that Meta acted with actual malice. which, as a public figure, he must. For another, Stossel's claims focus on the fact-checker articles written by Climate Feedback, not the labels affixated through the Facebook platform. The labels themselves are neither false nor defamatory. On the contrary, they constitute protected opinion. So Facebook are admitting that the fact-checkers aren't checking facts. They are checking to see if people conform to protected opinions. In other words, government propaganda, or establishment propaganda, or whatever Facebook considers to be the correct opinion. And they call it fact checkers so that people don't call them out on their BS. Because you see, like, Facebook wants to create the illusion that when you're on their platform, you're having honest conversation with other people. And it's not that you're having a conversation the way Facebook wants you to have the conversation. No, like, they want you to believe that this is what legitimately the public is thinking. So that's what they're doing. Yes, this is what fact checkers are. They are people who make sure that the protected opinions aren't being contradicted. That's why they fact check opinions. That's their job. That is literally what they're supposed to do. To protect certain opinions. Are the opinions true or wrong? Doesn't matter. These are the opinions they need to protect. And that's what they're going to do. And of course, Facebook doesn't want you to know this. Right? My private company can do whatever it wants, but they don't want to tell you what's on the box. They don't want to put it on the label so you know that they're hiring protected opinions. They want you to believe that the protected opinions are true. And by the way, some protected opinions might very well be true. But some other protected opinions may not be true, because here on the lawsuit, they're admitting that it's not about opinions being false or wrong. It's just that they are protected and they are being enforced because they're protected. So I wish more people were aware of this. Thank you, Facebook, for letting us know. Very enlightening. And now we understand why there aren't two sides of the same story. Because that's how it used to be in the 90s. That's how it used to be when I grew up. It's like everything has two sides. Every story has two sides. You need to listen to both sides of the story before making your mind. Now there aren't two sides of the same story. Now there is the correct information, the protected opinion, and there is misinformation. Protected opinion and conspiracy theory. Too bad we're not wise enough to get to set our own protected opinions and whatnot. Jesus, this is so beautiful when you actually get to see the strings, huh? Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.